City of Stevens Point Police and Fire Commission meeting, recorded January 9, 2024.
All right, it's 2 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. It's January 9th, 2024. Happy January, New Year, everyone. First item on the agenda is roll call. Rebecca, would you please call the roll?
Kershling?
Here.
Moore?
Here.
Morozek? Here. Ostrowski?
Here.
Zenner?
Here. Everyone is here. Item number 2 is the approval of minutes from last month's meeting. If anybody has any questions or comments or a motion, it would be appreciated.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion
Morozek.
from Morozek.
Second by Zenner.
Second from Zenner. Any comments or questions about the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 3, which is the confirmation of bills. Mr. Ostrowski.
All righty, Mr. President. First on your packet, you'll see is the ambulance service. I figured Joe must have been on vacation the whole month because I don't see any bills here. I mean, either that or the gray hair is starting to slope down. But nothing exceptional steps out. And when you add theirs to the end of the month, they are over budget, but I know there's some adjustments coming from Controller's office. So move on to Fire Department on the second one. Again, nothing jumps out, nothing big. Treadmill parts, I guess, our firefighters run a little too hard on a treadmill. But other than that, nothing jumps out. When you look at their budget for the year, it looks like it's really overblown, but it isn't, because again, there's credits, donations, and stuff like this that are going to come back and bring it pretty much into line. The last one, the police department, which is unusual for them, they are the big expense boys this month. So Bob must have got thirsty with the pen here. But anyways, his big expenses, of course, if you want to notice, is the new carpet, which was badly needed. But the other thing is repair work up on a roof, RTU units spoke for roughly $8,000. Otherwise, he would be in fine. And as far as for the year, they match up okay. So based on that, after checking everything else, I would recommend we approve the bills as submitted.
Kershling, second.
Okay, motion by Ostrowski, second by Kershling. Any questions or comments from any of the other members?
Chief Moody.
Chief.
I'd just like to point out that on the EMS side of the house, we have finalized all of our operational budgets for 2024, and we are 2023, correct, and we are 7% in the black on the EMS budget overall, and when it is all said and done, we are 1% in the red when it comes to the fire budget. It'll show that we have a deficit of $43,437.65. What I would like to point out, though, at that point is we offset that with the Park Ridge contract. So we're actually still in the black by $53,000 plus in the overall 2023 operational budget.
Is there a
That's
reason?
why I pointed out that with adjustments, so you can't really go totally by what we are submitting.
Correct.
Is there a reason that hasn't been put into the tally yet, or?
It has to stay separate from the operational budget,
Okay.
those contracted funds.
Yep, just for clarification so everybody understands why it's not put in there.
Correct.
Is that for just this year or next year too? And
For the
duration?
For the duration of that contract, it'll be separate from this operational budget. So that way, when you see that at the end of the operational period for that fiscal year, the calendar year, you'll see that potentially we could be in the red, but that is offset with the Park Ridge contract.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments about the budgets? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 4, Informational presentation by officers regarding the city insurance discord. Who are we looking for? Step to the podium, please.
Thank you for letting me talk at the Police and Fire Commission meeting. I haven't been here in a long time. Maybe that's a good thing. I just wanted to make you aware of some circumstances that have impacted at least 7 officers here at the police department financially regarding the city's health insurance enrollment that occurred in 2022 for the 2023 year. I know Chief Cuso and Assistant Chief Dana are aware, as I had sent them an email, and what I was going to do is just kind of read the email because it explains what occurred. In the 2022 open enrollment, we had a informational meeting that was viewed either like online with a slideshow presentation attached to that, and during that time, city employees were advised that what our deductibles would be for family and individual and all the other. And the max out-of-pocket for family, which is the family insurance that we have, was up to $5,000 to include co-insurance. Max out-of-pocket would be $5,000. Sometime during the year, the city switched the co-insurance to $12,900. And that was not disclosed at the open enrollment period or the slideshow. I did not discover that until May of 2023 because bills were coming in, and I'm like, why am I still paying co-insurance? We should have met. On a side note, I pay very close attention to insurance because we always meet our deductibles. I have a daughter who has some health conditions, so last year would have been the first year we had to make a decision, city insurance or a different insurance. And what the city presented was the best insurance for us at that time. So going back to May, I contacted Sandy, and it was May or June, I contacted Sandy and I said, Sandy, I'm not sure why I'm still paying co-insurance. We have met the max $5,000 out of pocket. Sandy got back to me and stated that it got changed from $12,900 partially and due to federal standards. And I said, why were we not notified of that prior to enrolling? I said I had an opportunity to take different insurance. I would have never taken city insurance had I known this. And at that time, I felt I didn't have any recourse. I was dealing with other issues with the EMR, who was trying to deny other stuff that my daughter needed. So come this fall, we had another open enrollment for the 2024 insurance, and I watched it by Zoom, and the slideshow indicated that the max out-of-pocket again was $5,000 for family. I messaged Wendy from who is attending the meeting and from 3M, who does stuff for the city for insurance, and asked her, why am I paying $12,900 this year? Wendy asked that I call her tomorrow, the following day. So I called Wendy and I explained my circumstances, and I said, I don't know when the city switched it, but we weren't notified. We weren't notified at open enrollment, and I feel I shouldn't have to pay the $12,900. I was told $5,000. I would have never taken this insurance. I asked how I was going to be able to get reimbursed for the $7,900 that I had to pay, and they said that they would be looking into it. Over a course of several emails, couple months, I wasn't getting any answers, and I reached out to Chief Cuso and Assistant Chief Williams and expressed what was going on. In the meantime, found out that there are other officers at the department that had gone over the $5,000 as well, and were not aware of the change. I did get a call from Sandy today through Bob, and are looking into my claims, and they are going to be adjusted. I asked for clarification on how that adjustment's going to occur, and Sandy is still trying to reach out to Wendy to get an answer on that. You know, I feel bad talking to you about this because I feel the city hasn't wronged me in the past, but this is a significant amount of money. You know, you divide $7,900 by 12, that's $658 extra I paid a month this year for health insurance. I know that I don't know who's all aware of what occurred. Does the council, city council know? Does the personnel committee know that this has occurred? I mean, as far as I know, I'm the only case that they're looking into regarding this discrepancy as far as presentation of how much our co-insurance was.
And
So-
and Christie, they basically present the same slideshow in last fall of 2023 as they presented in 2022, stating the 5,000 max.
Correct.
Did they correct that?
Did they correct the slideshow?
Right, did they correct it so everybody knows that it's not 5,000?
Well,
Or is it supposed to be 5,000?
they say it's 12,000, well, 5,000 for 2024, it is back to. Because, and I was advised because the because the city insurance did so well.
Okay.
I did make a couple copies of information. I don't know, can I pass that out?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. I'll wait till they get passed out, but on the first page, it just says that when open enrollment was in 2022, it was November 14th to the 18th, which, I mean, isn't a lot of time, but when you don't get the insurance from your spouse's place of employment, you have nothing to compare it to. I guess that would be a minor issue, but it would have been helpful to have those overlap somewhat. In the second page, I apologize for the pictures. They were taken on my phone and forwarded by email. Shows the front slide of the presentation for open enrollment that we had in 2022 for the 2023 year. And then on the next page was the slide where it shows that what the out-of-pocket maximum would be. And there it lists the, I can't even read the numbers, but you'll see the 3,000 and the 5,000. Then the last page is what the city has on their website now, saying what the max out-of-pocket is for per person family, where that 12,900 is.
Christie, just to clarify, last year, this was a 5,000, are identified as 5,000, and you were never told
Correct.
as a entire bargaining unit? No one was made aware?
I never recall receiving anything, and that's why I was calling Sandy in May, because I wasn't aware of that.
Did this affect all departments in the city and not just the police department?
I would think so.
It would have affected the entire city. When we talked, so when Officer Arns got a hold of me, it was because they weren't really responding to her very well. So I got involved and started the process as well, and she is correct. In November, they stated $5,000 max out of pocket, and then sometime in January, when they went to this UMR, which was the new insurance, it somehow went to $12,900. Nobody that I'm aware of was aware that it went to $12,900. Then this came forward, and what we were told is that HR, Sandy, is actually doing right now, they're completing a complete audit of the entire city who has the health insurance to see who hit above the $5,000 mark for this 2023. and that they're going to be coming up with a solution. But again, when we talked to her on the phone this morning, we explained to her that we understand that, but we need to have communication on what that solution is. Is it going to be reimbursement? Or what is that going to look like? And she said she wasn't sure at this point. She was going to make a couple phone calls and try to get back to us, hopefully in the next couple of days. So it's still an ongoing process, but it is citywide, and there's a lot of people that are probably affected by it if we only had 7 here already.
So the mayor, comptroller, treasurer, human resources, they're all very much aware of this and trying to resolve it.
Correct, they are very much aware of it. We just don't hear from them on how much they're trying to resolve it.
Have they given you any expectation of when you would hear from them?
This
Is there a
morning, she
deadline?
said expect it to be sometime either late January or February.
Is UMR a new insurance company with the city?
It is. It's who they switched to last year.
When are you due to re-up for another round?
We already did in November.
So you're up for 2024 then?
I am not taking the city's insurance this year.
I meant the city as a whole is
Yes.
already entered into a contract for this year. Okay.
Christie, are you aware, has anyone within the police organization contacted WPPA?
We have, and there has been some communication. Due to the city being self-funded, there's some, it's not protected under some laws, unfortunately, and right now, what was suggested was to take the city to small claims court.
Because technically, you entered into a contract for insurance based on the information you were provided. You made that decision, and then somebody just decided to switch it, and there's the period which all employers go through in that November time for insurance. So, have you contacted Mary Kneebone, our liaison, at all of this to letting the?
No, I was hoping she would be here today.
I thought she was going to be here as well.
Okay.
Yes, she.
Officer,
at the
has
last meeting,
a representative of UMR actually called you up or visited you?
From UMR?
Yeah.
No. Only Wendy from 3M, or M3.
Yeah.
And she, maybe Chief Cuso knows better than I do what their role as far as how they help the city with the insurance.
They're kind of the middle person. They're the one who actually researches and tries to get the best deals for the city. That's why they're hired.
So they're a broker in a sense.
So it's an ongoing situation. Hopefully it gets resolved, because that would be terrible for the employees of the city to have to take their own employer to small claims. That is absolutely ridiculous.
And we just wanted you guys to all be aware of it. Officer Arns asked me if she could talk to all of you. I said absolutely. And so we just wanted to keep you informed on what's going on, and hopefully it will be corrected by the end of February. That's what we're praying for. We'll wait and see.
I asked both chiefs, are they aware of, in their departments, of other personnel going through the same thing?
I'm not aware of any over in the fire department, but no one's come forward yet.
And we have 7 officers here that went above the $5,000 mark.
But this wouldn't just be for the officers, this is citywide. I mean,
Citywide.
there's potentially, and that's where the audit's taking place, and,
Correct.
This is
right.
really unconscionable.
Yeah, this is not good. If
And
you
the
guys
sad
could
part about it is when
keep
you're
us
dealing with insurance
informed
companies, when
where
they give
we're
you
at.
these answers and when they'll address it, there's never a date on that, when they'll address it.
Okay, thank you for the information. I mean, there's not much we can do at this point, but at least we know about it now and we can ask questions appropriately when we get there. So, thank you.
That's all I asked. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christy.
Okay. And that takes care of agenda item number 4. Moving on, agenda item number 5, discussion with possible action on moving forward with an intergovernmental agreement for providing automatic aid fire services between the City of Stevens Point and the Village of Rudolph. Attorney Logan Beveridge.
Yeah, not a whole lot to say about this. It's a thing that I just discussed with JB last week, went over the agreement and provided some edits to it. The only substantive thing that I'd had to say about the agreement is that there's a reference to Chapter 166 of the statutes in terms of the MABUS system, which that's a chapter that doesn't actually exist. So we'll have to figure out where the MABUS enabling legislation was moved to and just get that updated. Other than that, I made some formatting changes, nothing really substantive at all, and everything looks to be in order to me, and JB is obviously on board with this, and I can have him speak about the operational particulars.
Okay, just for your information before we go to the chief, you got an updated copy of this. It should have been sitting on your desk as you got here this evening. Chief?
Yeah, so we are looking to enter into an auto aid agreement with Rudolph Fire Department. Initially, when the Metro Fire District was created with the City of Stevens Point, Whiting, and Plover, the auto aid agreement basically was that the three of us, or the three departments, would provide each other apparatuses. The difference between auto aid and mutual aid is defined in the aspect where if we arrive on scene or while we're en route to the scene, if we request additional resources, that's a mutual aid request. Auto aid would be if Comm Center meets specific criteria and checks certain boxes, auto aid will automatically be provided. They will page those departments out, or the basics. Whiting Fire Department was then at that time taken over by Plover, and Hull Fire Department became part of Metro. Through that time, Hull was providing an engine. Plover at that time was providing an engine and a truck company. In the agreement, it says each one of those departments will provide one fire apparatus. And over time, and due to short staffing, and just like we're all facing right now, Plover cannot always produce that truck company and engine company. There was some talks, and we changed it this last fall to 2 engines, and that has been a struggle as well. So what we have done now at this point is asked Rudolph Fire Department to be a part of our auto aid agreement. They are not a part of Metro. They will not be on the automatic aid for Plover and Hull. That is a completely different setup. This would be just auto aid for the city to provide us a truck company. In return, they aren't asking for anything right now. We will continue to stay on the MABUS cards for them at the box alarm level, which is mutual aid, which we are providing for them right now, and we have been for some time. And so we're looking to move forward with this in 2024.
Chief, what does a truck company provide as opposed to an engine company?
So their truck, most trucks, will provide us a Quint system, so we can either use that apparatus. First, it provides the manpower, and it's 4 personnel that are staffing that apparatus with a minimum of Firefighter 1 certifications, which means they can pack up, they can put a mask on, and they can provide fire suppression operational tactics inside the fire or outside the fire. Also, that truck company provides a pump on it, which can be can relay pump in to another fire apparatus, can be used to pump water out onto a fire, or also can be used as a actual aerial device and setting it onto a roof to maybe safely get people to the roof to do vertical ventilation, or in a large commercial or industrial situation, we can actually just set that apparatus up and use it as a master stream to provide multiple millions of gallons of water onto a fire in a defensive attack mode.
Thank you.
Would the equipment and our equipment match up? I mean,
Yes. Our equipment, the equipment on those apparatuses are interchangeable, so they would be able to work with one another.
and they deal mostly with tankers, right? I mean, with their department, with their equipment hook up to hydrants?
Yes, so their tender, they do have several tenders as well. They have several engines and truck companies. They have 2 trucks in Rudolph. I'm not sure how many engines or tenders, but we do use them not only in hydranted areas within the city, but non-hydranted areas as well, where they provide us actually water in a shuttle system where we would set up a water boss to actually control that flow when there's no hydrant available to fight the fire within the city.
And that knowledge would be available to dispatch, so they know about sending what equipment where.
Yes, those updates have already been made on our MABUS cards, and they are at the comm center at this time. And we have been working through a few glitches over the past few days, doing some tests and making sure that operationally we are moving forward in the right direction.
And when their people would respond, they become under the command of your department?
Correct, yes. So we would branch out our command structure and they would fall in somewhere.
I'll make a motion to move forward with the intergovernmental agreement for providing automatic aid fire service between the city of Stevens Point and the village of Rudolph.
I would second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 6, discussion with possible action on moving forward with adding division chiefs to section 3.04, compensatory and overtime for non-represented personnel of the administrative rules and procedures of the Stevens Point Police and Fire Commission. Attorney Beveridge.
Not much to say about this, just added a couple positions to the language there.
Very good. Chief, anything else to add? At this time, our 2 division chiefs will be in exempt status, and our deputy fire marshal / emergency management coordinator will be in a non-exempt status.
So the difference between exempt and non-exempt for clarification?
Exempt, those employees within the fire department will not be entitled to overtime. The non-exempt employees will be entitled to overtime.
Okay. And that was all done through research with city staff?
Yes, that was vetted through city staff, additional legal counsel, and Baker Tilly.
And it affects no other employees in the city other than these 3 mentioned?
No, they're actually the only one through the reclassification that within the fire department that affects was the deputy fire marshal. I believe there are some others in the city that it does affect.
But they're taken care of in their own departments?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion to change the language.
Kirschling, I make a motion on moving forward with adding the division chiefs to section 3.04, compensatory and overtime for non-represented personnel of the administrative rules and procedures of the Stevens Point Police and Fire Commission.
Second by Mrozek.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further questions, comments? Yes, Chief.
I brought this up when we were going through the rewrite, and I guess just a question to ask Attorney Beveridge, is there any way we could word this language to be more generic so we don't have to bring you in future cases if we identify or change a title? I guess that's...
Most likely, yes. I think that there's actually even a case to be made potentially for this not even being needed within this particular document. As it sits, I think it'll serve us pretty well for a while. I don't, obviously the structural change in the fire department was the biggest change we've had in the overall org tree for either of the departments in a while. So I don't think we're going to be doing another one of those anytime real soon. But I think if we see something like that coming down the pike, certainly it's worth having a conversation about just to what extent, if at all, we need to have something like this contained in the admin rules.
Okay.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item number 7, Fire Chief's report, EMS report. Chief Moody, please.
A lot to report on in 2023 as we're kind of wrapping everything up. First of all, we did actually 3 live fire trainings this past year in 2023. Most recently, the last 2 house burns in November and December of this last year on Hoover. And the training that our members get from that live fire training is something that you can't recreate any other way. And so the value in that was unbelievable. Being able to have a division chief of training to step up and put those programs together really does benefit our department, and it was very successful this past year. SPFD also did we are doing our annual awards banquets internally within our department. This last year in December, we did it the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Again, our members have asked us as the management staff basically explained how they would like to run it, and we have obliged them by providing that. Another big thing we're doing within Station 1 is an LED light exchange and upgrade through an energy efficient program that we found. So we're in the process of taking care of that. And then I wanted to circle back with the Badger heating and air conditioning at Station 1. We are currently pretty much done with the actual process.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a big accomplishment. The HVAC has been ran throughout the building, redone. The AC unit was actually delivered and put on the roof. There is one last IT step that is needed for final control throughout the building, and then they're going to come back in the spring of the year and basically just tweak the air conditioning unit. Unfortunately, can't do that now, so we'll do it in the spring. Other than that, everything's done at Station 1 when it comes to the HVAC system, and we're moving forward. Also with that, for many years we've had the Plamavent system where the exhaust, and we're worried about the diesel fumes and the particles within our apparatus bay. With this new HVAC system, we were able to get rid of that Plamavent system, and it actually turns on and purifies and cleans the air within that apparatus bay so many times a day. So that was a big change as well for us. When it comes to our image trends reporting, I would like to point out that call volume on the fire side of the department is up 17.08% for 2023. And when you look at what is causing those numbers to go up, the 3 largest factors were actual fires within the city of Stevens Point, rescues, and then the highest was at 41.82% in increase this year was service calls. And those service calls are for many different things. And I think as a chief, when we preach that service mentality and servant leadership style, it's obviously rubbing off on everybody when service calls have gone up 41% this past year. When you look at the total numbers, the fire department has gone up 180 calls this past year, so we're up a little over 17%.
Chief, could you just describe what a service call entails?
Sure. So service calls could be for many different reasons. One could be for as simple as we all see it in the spring of the year, the ducks and the duck rescues, when we go out and pull that manhole and we take care of the ducks. Service calls could be for many different things. We've also introduced a new program with smoke detector installation in the homes and helping people out in the community. And Chief Zavara could speak on it much better than I could on that list, as he is our NIFRS, our report writing systems guru. But yeah, so that's what those calls are about.
Okay.
I did notice the service calls seem to were April, May, and June. You just want to run out the charts.
Right.
Was there some common thing that was happening, or?
Chief Zavara will come up and speak on that.
So one of the larger increases we're seeing actually is the CO calls that we're going on, because more and more people are actually installing and putting in CO detectors within their homes, along with the fact that they've now been in production and being utilized for a long period of time. The CO detectors are actually good for only 7 years, and people don't know that, so we get called for, my CO detector is going off. Well, it's actually chirping, letting them know that the CO detector is actually malfunctioning. So that's one of the reasons the service calls that we're seeing increase. To answer your question on the months, that's springtime, so we ended up with a lot of open burning complaints and issues that we had to deal with. Since that time, we've now changed the ordinance on burning, which hopefully will alleviate some of those issues in this coming year, 2024. But that's the increase that you're seeing in that springtime, is basically the dryness that we had, especially with this year, and the large fires that we had. We had to put a lot of curtailing of open burning. So, when the Facebook said no burning, people were calling up and saying, my neighbor's burning, can you please come out? And we would have to go and enforce that. So that's the reason for the increase in types of calls.
I know the burning question, I've had discussions with neighbors and family members about that. Is there a way in spring to publish an article or get it out to the public?
More than just Facebook, because a lot of people don't use Facebook anymore.
You got 50% of your population in point, the age group that's concerned about that doesn't use Facebook.
Sure. We can definitely take a look at reaching out to the community in different ways to do that, whether it's through the city's website, different types of media, the newspaper and media. We can definitely
think of these spring articles about how to do your garden and all this. If we could get an article in there, burning regulations,
How long is it?
We can put that together and release that early this year, maybe in March, and we can put that out through our media release, and that would hit all of those avenues. So that would not be an issue at all.
How long is that period?
The what period?
The burning. Can't burn.
Well, the only burning you can do now in the city is through special permits through the Bureau at this point.
Okay.
Otherwise, all of your leaves or vegetation have to go to the city down at the DPW site.
All right.
Good. And so that is the fire report. I do want to make a correction. I see that says December of 2024. I would just like to state that as December of 2023.
What page is that on?
That is on the very first page at
right by
the
the
top
statement.
of the fire chief's report. And also, we have we do a quarterly report out to the Village of Park Ridge. And this last year was the first year that we did, or we have had the actual contract for the year. We put together their significant events, monthly trainings that we provide, public activities that we do, and we break that down quarterly for them to basically provide them what we're doing in their community and what we're doing to be prepared to service their community when it comes to fire suppression. We broke that all down. We've looked at everything, and just so the city is aware, we responded into the Village of Park Ridge last time for 16 total calls for service through that new annual contract. Underneath the EMS report, I would like to point out December 30th, 2023, and the significant weather incident we had. Again, not only are fire calls up, but EMS calls are up as well, approximately 8%, which is about 400 plus EMS calls this past year. But taxing our resources and the ability to provide service, the Stevens Point Fire Department ambulance responded to 19 calls that day. And between the times of 16:52 and 17:31, which is 43 minutes, due to the freezing roads, we treated 8 patients. We had 5 ambulances out and Car 5, which is our EMS field supervisor vehicle. Portage County in total had 7 ambulances out at 5 different locations in Portage County during that 43 minutes. When we have a situation like that, it really does tax our resources and what we're able to provide. So these events that turn into incidences and then just basically tax the system, it becomes very challenging sometimes for our members. Also in there, Red Kettlebell Challenge. Unfortunately, we came up second. We didn't take home the trophy again this year. That is going to be Plover's trophy for another year, as they came in number 1, ringing the bell down at Walmart. And then, again, last, I just want to point out our call volume. 2022, we had 3,677 calls, and this year, in 2023, we had over 4,000 calls for service. So, and as you can see, Medic 3 and Medic 4 are going out more and more throughout the year as we continue to move forward in providing these services. The last thing I'd like to point out underneath the chief's report is we worked with First Responders Task Force when the management staff went with the union executive board to Waltz to a leadership program this past fall. There was an organization there under the name of First Responders Task Force that comes in and provides at no cost benefits to our members. And that those benefits are important. And so what we did is we worked with the management staff, worked with the local and with the state PFFW and this the task force to come in and provide these members additional benefits if they were to for some reason have a death while on duty or a death even off duty. There is additional protection for them. So, and I would say probably two-thirds to three-quarters of our members took advantage of this program, and it was free of charge to them. And that is all I have under the fire chief's report, unless there are any questions.
Chief, there's one thing. As a former businessman, I can tell you on the red kettle thing, the old saying, location, location, location.
Exactly. I'll make a motion to accept the reports and place them on file.
Second.
We have a second. Any further questions or comments for the chief? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Turning our attention to the police department side. Agenda item number 8, discussion with possible action on approval of moving forward with Police Officer Jason Danger and Officer Samuel Hessel to permanent status. Chief.
There we go.
I just gave you letters from the lieutenant who oversaw those two officers who were on probation. First I'm going to talk about is Officer Jason Dinger. What I'm looking for is the approval to make him permanent status here at the Stevens Point Police Department. And it was an oversight on my part, but his probationary period ended December 27th. So I'm looking at making him permanent December 28th of 2023. He came here with 4 years' experience. In this 18 months that he's been here, he has been selected as our canine handler, so he's our newest canine handler. He has also been selected as a range instructor here as well. And the letter from his lieutenant that oversaw him for the last 18 months real quickly just states he has showcased his experiences during his probationary period with good decision-making skills, knowledge of the job, motivation, and willingness to help. Officer Dinger has been consistently active during his shifts, conducting traffic stops, backing up other officers, and jumping calls for others. Officer Dinger has a great relationship with both his coworkers and the public, and it's his pleasure, Lieutenant Long's pleasure, to have worked with him over the last year. I'm looking for approval from the PFC to post-date it, that he would go to permanent status as of December 28th of 2023.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Officer Dinger for permanent status effective December 28th, 2023.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
I'll be happy to second that.
We have a second. Is there any comments or questions about Officer Dinger?
Chief, in the past, the commission has had a chance when these people became permanent to meet them here in a meeting. If we could restart that type of suggestion, I would look forward to that.
We can absolutely restart that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to Officer Samuel Hessel.
He is the next one. His probationary period ends January 11th of 2024. He has also been with Lieutenant Mike Long as well for this last 18 months. According to Lieutenant Long, Officer Hessel has shown consistent progress over the past 18 months. His job performance and willingness to become more involved with the department are all strong assets to his character and dedication. Officer Hessel has shown consistent improvement in his job performance, becoming more and more confident in his abilities. His relationship with his coworkers has grown throughout the year, and he has become a reliable member of the team. And it's Lieutenant Long's recommendation to place him on permanent status effective January 11th of 2024.
Very good.
I'll make a motion to approve Samuel Hessel's permanent status as of January 11th, 2024, Morozek.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Rozek, second from Zenner. Any further questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 9, discussion possible action on approval of promotions due to Lieutenant John Moss's expected retirement on January 31st, 2024. Chief.
He is going to be another big loss here for the city of Stevens Point as well. With his expected retirement, he has turned in his letter and contacted the state as well. So with his retirement, we're going to have a vacancy as lieutenant. Assistant Chief Williams has been very, very busy all of December and all of January so far with new hires and the promotional process. And we finished the promotional process this morning, and everybody has been notified. And so I can go through both of them, but with the promotion to lieutenant, leaves a vacancy as a sergeant, and we did that process along with the lieutenant at the same time. What I'm looking for is approval to promote Sergeant Justin Klein to lieutenant for the Stevens Point Police Department, which would begin February 1st of 2024, pending the retirement of Lieutenant Moss. And I'm going to go over a little bit. Sergeant Klein began his career with the Stevens Point Police Department on March 15th of 2013. Since then, he's taken on several roles while he's been an officer here. He's been a patrol officer, a corporal, a lead officer, a detective, a patrol sergeant, field training officer. He's a SWAT team negotiator. He's an emergency vehicle instructor. He's a vehicle contact instructor, and he's currently a member of the Project Lifesaver as well here. He has shown that he can effectively manage personnel. He has gained the experience needed to become the next lieutenant here in the police department through his roles in leadership as the corporal, as the lead, as the detective, and as a patrol sergeant. These supervisory roles, along with the training he has attended, like First Line Supervisory School, he's also a graduate of the Leadership and Police Organizations, the 3-week LPO school. It's shaped him into a leader that he's become today. Sergeant Klein has never hesitated to pass along and share the wealth of the knowledge that he's obtained in all of his positions. And I am asking you that I get your approval to promote him to lieutenant upon Lieutenant Moss's retirement on March 31st and promote him on February 1st of 2024.
Kirschling will make a motion to promote Sergeant Klein to lieutenant effective February 1st, 2024.
I'll second that.
Very good. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further comments or questions?
Do we have to put in there pending the retirement of Lieutenant Moss's with the motion?
Pending Lieutenant Moss's.
Because otherwise,
Laura Stickler.
January 31st.
Second, accept that? Mr. Zenner,
Do you
second.
accept that?
I second that.
Okay, very good. We're all straight. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
The next one, due to that promotion, that is going to leave a sergeant's position open here at the Stevens Point Police Department. After that process was completed, again, it was finished today, and the process that we use is, it's a letter of interest first, and then there's a subordinate evaluation on any individuals that apply for sergeant or lieutenant. Then we have an outside panel interview, and then there's a peer review by all the current lieutenants here at the Stevens Point Police Department, and then there's a chief's review, or a chief's interview. And after the chief's interview today, what I'm asking for is approval to move Lead Officer Austin Lee to the position of Sergeant, Patrol Sergeant, starting February 1st of 2024. Lead Officer Lee began his career here at the Stevens Point Police Department May 18th of 2015 after working as a patrol officer with the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point Police Department for a year and a half. Lead Officer Lee's involvement is recognized throughout the police department and the community. Lead Officer Lee was instrumental in starting our K-9 program. Him and Sergeant Ballou were the two that started the program, got it off and running, and has made it as successful as it is today. Lead Officer Lee has also taken on several extra duties in his 9 years. He was the first K-9 handler. He's a SWAT team member. He's a drug recognition expert. He's a general law enforcement instructor. He's a standardized field sobriety testing instructor. He's a TASER instructor, and he's state certified in teaching A-RIDE, which is Advanced Roadside Impaired Driving Enforcement, and he trains that here twice a year for the entire state of Wisconsin. Lead Officer Lee has been in a supervisory position since 2020, and while in this position, he has proven his great leadership abilities. Officers trust Lead Officer Lee's decision-making and never hesitate to go to him with questions. So I am asking for your approval to promote him to Sergeant, pending the other two taking effect, and promoting him on February 1st of 2024 as well to Sergeant.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Lead Officer Austin Lee to Sergeant, effective February 1st, pending the retirement of John Moss, pending the promotion of Justin Lee to Sergeant.
I'll second that. But I'll leave Zenner to state it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay. Agenda item number 9, discussion with possible action on approval of promotions due to Lieutenant, oh, nope, that's the one we just did. Excuse me. Agenda item number 10, discussion with possible action on approval of the new officer hires.
Those are in your packet. We are going to start with Ronaldo Barcenas. He goes by the name of Ray. Again, Assistant Chief Williams oversaw this entire process, and we ended up doing 7 backgrounds. which we believe to be 7 good applicants. After our detectives did a thorough background, there were 4 potential candidates for us, and all 4 want to work here at the Stevens Point Police Department. I'm getting approval from all of you, and we'll go through 2 of them first because I would like to get their start date for February 5th of 2024. Ray, as he goes by, has a strong desire to become a law enforcement officer, and everyone interviewed spoke highly of him, stating he is trustworthy and an honest person who is always looking to help others. He grew up in Wisconsin Rapids, graduated from Lincoln High School. He attended the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. After graduating from UW-Platteville, Ray went on to complete his 720-hour law enforcement academy at the Milwaukee Area Technical College. During that time, he interned and was a community service officer in Dubuque, Iowa. They actually did give him a conditional offer, but he wants to stay in central Wisconsin. He wanted to get closer to home, and he took a job right now as a comm center, a dispatcher for Adams County Sheriff's Department currently. And we are asking for the Police and Fire Commission's approval to hire Ronaldo or Ray as the next Stevens Point Police Department police officer upon successful completion of both the psychological and medical screening, with a expected start date of February 5th of 2024. And I'm going to read the second one right away because it'd be the same exact starting date. The next one would be Lucas Hughes. You have that one in there as well. Lucas Hughes, extremely intelligent, hardworking. He attended Milton High School, where he graduated with a GPA of a 4.192, while taking classes that were way above and beyond what was required. He was in honors biology, honors chemistry, AP biology, AP chemistry, 3 years of Spanish, AP calculus. Luke began attending UWSP in the fall of 2020, and he graduated with a bachelor's degree in conservation law enforcement with criminal justice minor in December of 2023.
Holy crap.
While attending UWSP, Luke has completed the 720-hour law enforcement academy as well, and he received his diploma on May 18th of 2023 from Mid-State Technical College. When we talked to Luke, he explained that he really wants to work for the Stevens Point Police Department, and he has not even applied at any other agencies because he loves this area. Luke worked while he was attending the University of Stevens Point as a student security officer and a student dispatcher there from September of 2021 until he graduated. And this summer, to get a little bit more experience, he actually took a community service officer position for the Lake Geneva Police Department. I'm asking the Police and Fire Commission again for the approval to hire Lucas Hughes for a patrol officer here at the Stevens Point Police Department, pending the successful completion of both the psychological and medical screening. Expected start date would be the same day as Ray's on February 5th of 2024.
How do you pronounce Ronaldo's last name?
Ronaldo, he says Ray, just call him Ray.
Okay.
I think it's Barcenas. Barcenas?
Barcenas. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of Ray Barcenas and Luke Hughes with a start date of February 5th, 2024, upon successful completion of both the psychological and medical screening test.
Okay, we have a motion from Moronic.
Morozic.
Wrong person in my head, sorry. Kersling seconds.
I guess I need to say my name every time.
Yeah, well, you know, it's one of those days.
But Chief, one quick question. How does it work for seniority?
It would be as I'm reading them to you. So Ray would actually have seniority over Lucas.
Clarifies that. Any other questions or comments?
Are these current open slots? or-
Correct.
Okay.
Anything else? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to the other two.
And again, these are all open slots that we're filling right now. The next one, I'm looking for approval from the Police and Fire Commission to hire Clayton C. Madison-Dawson with an expected start date of Monday, March 4th of 2024. Clayton, he grew up in California. graduated from Monte Vista High School in Danville. He moved here to Wisconsin approximately 2 years ago, and he attended the Mid-State Technical College, where he graduated with an associate's degree in criminal justice and went on to the 720-hour law enforcement academy, graduating December this year of 2023, last year. He's currently a volunteer firefighter for the town of Hull. He's a part-time reserve deputy for Wood County Sheriff's Office as well, and he has also been on the Stevens Point Auxiliary Department or Auxiliary crew for the last 2 years as well. So we gotten to know him very well. Clayton's background revealed that people describe him as a great human being, a hard worker, eager to learn, very focused, driven, and as someone who's very high, who has very high integrity. And again, we're asking for the Police and Fire Commission's approval to hire Clayton with an expected start date of Monday, March 4th, with the successful completion of both his psychological and medical screening.
Why don't we take these guys separately because they have different start dates?
Correct.
Make a motion to approve Clayton for position of police officer with a hire date of March 4th, 2024, pending successful completion of psychological and medical screening.
Second by Morozek.
Who? Just kidding. Any other comments or questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving right along.
And the last one, trying to get approval from the Police and Fire Commission. This is going to be new for us. We haven't done this for a very long time, but her name is Mallory Gaylord, and she has been an intern with our department this last year. And she's a great individual. Everybody respects her here. Everybody got to know her here and knows that she's going to be a great law enforcement officer. She wants to remain here at the Stevens Point Police Department. And so what I'm asking for is approval to hire Mallory Gaylord as a patrol officer without recruit schooling. And the expected start date of Mallory would be June 4th of 2024, and that would be the start of the 720-hour Law Enforcement Academy, which we would sponsor her at. Mallory graduated from Stevens Point Area High School in May of 2022 and is currently enrolled at Mid-State Technical College, working on her associate's degree in criminal justice. Mallory is expected to graduate May of 2024. Mallory completed her internship with the Stevens Point Police Department in the fall of 2023, and it was apparent to all that she has potential of being a great law enforcement officer. During Mallory's time here at the SPPD, she has also participated in small groups of practical exercises of new high-risk traffic vehicle contacts. A veteran officer stated during one of these that despite having no experience, Mallory was not hesitant to jump in after watching a few of the rounds. Mallory appeared confident and looked like she had been in law enforcement for years. The references the background investigator spoke to described Mallory as responsible, reliable, and someone who deals with stressful situations very well. Again, we're asking for the Police and Fire Commission's approval to hire Mallory Gaylord as a patrol officer without recruit schooling, and her start date would be June 4th, 2024, and we would sponsor her at the Fox Valley Technical College Academy, which would begin June 5th of 2024.
So she would be officer status while doing her 720 hours.
Correct. She'd be an officer without recruits. And again, Assistant Chief Williams has done a tremendous amount of work December and January. We contacted Fox Valley Tech to see if there was a spot for us, and this is for June. They only had 2 spots available left already, and we're not in their district, and so Assistant Chief Williams actually got permission from the state to allow us to send her there and be in our district. And so that is all set. If you would approve it, we would keep that spot, and if it's something that you would not approve of today, then we'd have to remove her from that academy.
Well, this is kind of what we've talked about, that we've got to move forward and be more proactive in getting those spots. And
This is somebody that we do not want to lose, and that's why we're going to offer, that's why I would like to offer her this sponsorship through the police department.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of Patrol Officer Mallory Gaylor without recruit schooling, with the successful completion of both the psychological and medical screening, with an expected start date of June 4th, 2024.
Gerschling, second.
Okay. Any further comments or questions on this?
When will her probation date be?
Her probationary period will actually start the day that she graduates from the academy and starts here at Step 0, which I believe is October 11th.
Well, whatever, 720 hours.
It's something like that, but it's after she completes the academy.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item number 11, Police Chief's Report.
All right. I'm just going to go over a couple of things. You guys have obviously my report. The holiday parade, Assistant Chief Williams, Lieutenant Enbrook, and several auxiliary members. It went well. There's a couple of things that were different this year with the Downtown Business Council actually running it. They're working with them to make some changes to make it a little bit more efficient. And so they're working with that as well. Obviously, I put in here interviews for patrol officers conducted by Assistant Chief Williams, Lieutenant Spath, Sergeant Blue, and Officer Hansen. Those were the 7 that ended up with the background. Again, without their help, we wouldn't have been able to get to this point. Officer James Harper was sworn in as a probationary patrol officer on December 4th. And on December 16th, Lieutenant Johnson, Lieutenant Brooks, Officer Morton, Auxiliary Sergeant Strasser, School Resource Officer Marshall, and Therapy Dog Willow, and Assistant Chief Williams participated in Shop with a Cop, which took place down in Plover. And then our Honor Guard also presented wreaths for Wreaths Across America at the Plover Cemetery, honoring veterans. And then Lieutenant Brooks, myself, and Lieutenant Johnson attended the Best Christmas Ever in Plover, which is an organization that assists families who have lost something. And it was a family here in Stevens Point that had a fire at their house and they lost everything. So they came together and made it the best Christmas ever for them. And so we attended that as well. And, which didn't happen in December, but on January 5th, School Resource Officer Quisler is retiring, and he retired after 26-plus years of service here at the city of Stevens Point. And so we are going to be missing him as well. But Officer Chi Yang has taken on his responsibility, and he is our new School Resource Officer at P.J. Jacobs Junior High.
Very good. Make a motion to accept the report and place it on file.
Make a motion to accept the chief's report and place on file.
Second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Chief, approval of out-of-state training.
Yes.
Agenda item 12.
Yes, so yesterday, we went to personnel at the committees, and they actually had given you all the power to make this decision on out-of-state training. Our narcotics detective, Tanner Lipinski, was approached by the Division of Criminal Investigations to attend a clandestine laboratory safety certification training, which is a meth lab training, to identify meth labs and how to take the precautions necessary in order to clean those labs up. And the training is completely free. After looking it over with Assistant Chief Williams and Lieutenant Eitenbrook, we would end up paying for 1 day of overtime on a Sunday, but it's a 40-hour class, and that's the only thing that would cause us anything. Other than that, it's all covered. But it does take place in Johnston, Iowa, which is about 6 hours away. And so I'm just asking permission or your approval to allow him to attend out-of-state training, which is called Clandestine Laboratory Safety Certification. With this certification, he would become a member of our Midwest Clandestine Lab team. And if they would ever find a clandestine lab or a meth lab here in central Wisconsin, he would respond, and it would actually be covered by the cost of that organization through Department of Criminal Investigations. And obviously for us here, being selfish, he also would obviously be able to identify when he does narcotic warrants, if there's anything more that people should be worried about in some of the chemicals that were involved, to identify if it is a lab. And so again, I'm just asking permission to allow him to do and attend the out-of-state training.
Very good.
Which officer was it again?
Tanner Lipinski, he's currently our drugs narcotics detective.
I'll make a motion to approve Tanner Lipinski to go to the clandestine lab certification class for the out-of-state training.
Very good.
Second on motion.
Second by Ostrowski. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item number 13, we are adjourned. Thank you.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.